and welcome back to Discover Inclusion's YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about visual timetables. Most people come across visual timetables when we're talking about transition, so going from one activity to another. In a lot of cases we use them in mainstream schools, in nursery and reception classes, maybe a little bit older, and then when someone is diagnosed as autistic or is showing signs of struggling with transitions, we introduce a visual timetable as a way to support that. It's a visual representation of activities. I'll show some up here, some examples of the ones that we create. This is a way of saying, this is what we're going to do now, and this is what we're going to do next. And maybe for some children, this is what we're going to do later. So when you're going through the day, you can say, okay, maths is now, break time is next. So you show them at the beginning of the maths lesson, now is maths, next is break. And then at the end of the maths lesson, you would change it and you would say, now is break time, next is phonics, or whatever it might be for your day. And it's not necessarily just for schools. We also use them at home and in other settings. You might take one out and about. So this element is something that people use quite widely, and I would say is quite common. But there are other ways of using these visual resources to help give the child autonomy and understanding about their situation. The first one that I'm going to talk about is the choice board. So the idea of a choice board is to offer your child autonomy and the ability to make their own decisions whilst keeping things within the bounds of what you can provide them. So as a teacher, I might be in my classroom with a child and it's break time. I know that they've got 4 different things in their snack box to choose from, and I know they can't have all 4 right now because there's going to be other breaks that they're going to want them during the day. So I offer them a choice of an apple, a banana, a packet of raisins, or a packet of crisps. And I show this on the choice board. They then select the item that they want. So they might say, I want crisps. So we move that down to the bottom and it will say, I choose crisps. And we verbalise that for them, or they may be able to verbalise that themselves. We can also do this with physical objects. So when a child is first learning what the different pictures mean, the physical objects can make it a little bit more tangible. Maybe progressing to photographs of the objects and eventually drawings, because those can be used universally. For example, a photo of Walker's salt and vinegar crisps would only represent Walker's salt and vinegar crisps. However, a drawing of a packet of crisps can represent more different flavours and more brands, which makes it a little bit easier when you're using it across the spectrum. Once the child has chosen their activity, we then follow through with that and we say, great, you've chosen crisps, here you go. And we immediately give them that thing. The same can be said for an activity. Okay, it's choosing time. The child that you're working with or your child at home struggles with choosing time because they don't understand what they should do. They're sat in the classroom or in your living room and there's too many options. So you narrow it down, you think, okay, these are the things they enjoy doing. I'm going to offer them the water tray, the sand pit, or doing some arts and crafts. And you show them those and you can explain more. Say arts and crafts that day is painting, you might specify painting. You give them the options and then you say, which one would you like to do? And they make their choice. Again, we could do this with photos, whether it's of areas of a classroom or by going to different places or taking photos at home. Or we could try and have objects of reference. So for water, it might be a jug. For the sand pit, it might be a spade. And for the arts and crafts table, it might be a paintbrush. So they make their decision, they move it to the I choose section and you verbalise the sentence for them and immediately carry through with that task. So what we've got so far is the ability to say, now we've got this activity and next we're doing something else. So this would be across a daytime. So through the day, you keep changing and you say, now we're doing this, next we're doing something else. And you also might have a full strip of activities showing what you're doing throughout the day. The choice board is going to be used either to make those activity choices, or within each of those activities, you might want to make preferences. So you might be in the maths lesson. Okay, today, would you like to use dinosaurs or elephants to do our counting? And you can put those on the choice board and use that same method. Both of these things give the ability for an easier transition and more understanding of what you're expecting of them and what is happening to them in that situation. The third way we can use a visual timetable is for a much larger period of time. So we currently offer a weekly timetable. The idea of this is that you have your 7 days of the week laid out, and on each day you put the key activities. So we're not doing a full daily timetable for each day. We're just putting things like cooking lesson, or we're going swimming after school. We've got to go to the shops on Saturday. I know you want to go to the zoo, but we're not going to the zoo until Friday. So you put these key activities onto your weekly timetable and then have some way of showing this is the day we're on. So we put a star on Monday. Okay, this is what we're doing. And we might say on a Monday morning, we might say, okay, these are the things we're doing this week. Let's have a look now and see which things we're excited about. Is there something we're worried about? And if you can have those conversations. You might want to stick emotion stickers onto the different activities. Or it may just be a case of each day showing your child which day you're on, depending on their understanding and their willingness to have those conversations. The other thing that we can do with a weekly timetable is talk about how many sleeps until an activity. So often children will say, I really want to go swimming. Can we go swimming? No, we're not going swimming for 1, 2, 3 more sleeps, because often the idea of a daytime is really difficult. So how many times do we need to go to bed and sleep all night and have breakfast before we can do that activity? The same thing can be said for within the day. So as a child who is going through a daily visual timetable is being reminded for each individual activity, some children may have kind of grown out of that and are able to do those daily transitions, but struggle when there's multiple exciting or significant activities within a day. For example, you might have a food lesson during the day, and then that's the day that you take your child swimming after school. So both of those things are going to be on this weekly timetable. And we're going to say, yes, we're going to do both of these today, but the first thing is going to be that food lesson, and then after school we're going to go to our swim lesson. So this really clarifies that yes, they get to do both exciting activities, but we have to do one first and then later on we'll do the other. Another way you can use a weekly timetable is if a child has a support worker or has a one-to-one in school. Sometimes children will have a one-to-one on certain days, or they might have a group session. They might have a support worker that only comes and sees them in the mornings. So you can also put these things onto a weekly timetable. So for example, a child might have one support worker that comes on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and another one that comes in to see them on a Tuesday and Thursday. So you could take photos of each of these support workers and put them on those days of the week. So in the morning when you get up, they don't necessarily need the full visual timetable, or they do, but that's something that they do for each individual activity. But at the beginning of the day, you can have a look and you can see, who am I going to be working with today? Oh, today I'm working with Kerry. Tomorrow I'm working with Muffin. This is also a good tactic if you know that the child is in school and they have a teacher who takes a PPA period, so a planning period, or a planning afternoon or something, and you can mark this on their weekly timetable so they can prepare for that change of staff in the room. It's also worth adding change of teachers or change of support or family members. Should somebody be ill or something significant be happening, you can add those changes onto the weekly timetable as soon as you know them, so that your child is able to prepare themselves. And finally, we can look at monthly or yearly calendars. So many people will have a yearly calendar on their walls in the kitchen or in their offices. And this is something we can adapt to also use with our children and young people. So we're going to look at our family calendar in the kitchen, and we might add pictures of different people. So if we know we're going on a holiday with our grandparents in June, we can add a picture of our grandparents in June, and we can then flip the pages and show them when that's happening. Or for specific holidays during the year, if your child gets really excited about Christmas, then we can show them where Christmas is and put a little picture. If you can, it could be a picture from them at Christmas the previous year, so they understand what thing is happening. We can also do this to represent things that happen every week or every 2 weeks, and put little pictures of those things on the calendar. It can be really helpful to add pictures of people's faces, or to colour coordinate. If you've got a whole family of activities on one calendar, can each family member have a different colour? And then when something happens, you can outline it in that colour for that person, or you can add a picture of their face with that activity to help them understand, okay, yeah, we've got that birthday party, but it's not for 3 weeks. So let's put a little birthday cake and the person's name of the party that we're going to, and then we're going to circle it in the colour of the child that's going to that party. So what I'm really trying to say here is that there are lots of different options for using, hello Muffin, a visual timetable, and using visual resources to aid with those transitions and aid with routines. It doesn't just have to be on a day-to-day basis throughout the day showing the different activities. It can be on a longer term basis, and it can be something that you progress to as you get older, or as your child becomes more confident in certain areas. Another thing for when children and young people are getting older, they may not want the support of a full visual timetable, but they may find a tick list or some kind of checkbox exercise really helpful. So in the mornings for myself, I have to set alarms to do things, otherwise I won't leave the house on time. Part of the struggles of ADHD. So if I don't set those alarms, and if I don't tick off all the things I have to do, then I'll really struggle when I go into the day because I'm already off kilter. So especially with young adults, they don't want to be using big clunky pictures, but you might be able to set up some kind of reminders app on their phone, or just a little notepad. Have you brushed your teeth, put on your shoes, grabbed a coat, taken a banana for breakfast on the bus? Great, you're ready to go. So on our website, we have a daily visual timetable available for home and for school. So these are either activities that we think you would be doing on a regular basis at home. There are also some blank cards so you can add in your own. Then the school visual timetable is very similar. It just has some lessons added into it that you can then use throughout the day. We then have a choice board, which is very simple. It comes with about 30 different activities and foods and things that you might want to choose between. And then it's got the main choice board. And we have a weekly timetable that is split up into 7 daily strips and the individual activities with a star that you can add on wherever needed. All of our resources for the visual timetables come laminated and with Velcro already attached, so as soon as they arrive you can get started with them straight away. If you do have any questions or you're really struggling to implement something, you can either send us an email at info@discoverinclusion.co.uk, or you can set up a consultancy session, which are available through the families page on the website. This is a little bit more in depth, and we will set up an action plan and support you through the process in a lot more detail. I hope this has been informative and useful for you guys. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Thank you so much for watching. Please do like the video and subscribe if you find this content useful. It really helps us get the word out to as many people as possible. Thank you for watching.